They figured I'd best join too. Well, you're just supporting me massively then, King. I appreciate that. Angelina, evening, Ross. Good evening, Angelina. Good to see you. Greetings from Florida, not greetings from Florida. Good to see you from Florida. Hello from Ukraine. Good to see you, Andre. Can't believe you've dropped Arteta from the backdrop. You will have to blame DJ Hammer for that. He was complaining that Tuchel was not in the backdrop and that Arteta was. And I obviously can't drop the best manager in the world, FPL Raptor. So let me explain what the plan is today. The plan is I've basically preloaded some of your teams, 5 different teams, onto the Fantasy Football Hub website, and we're going to rate them according to that. Once I've gone through those 5 teams in like detail, discuss some of the players, I'm then going to jump over to Twitter, and on Twitter I'm going to put out a tweet, and I'm just going to get you to send your teams in, and I'll just go through as many teams as I possibly can. I'm not going to go through my team today. That's tomorrow's video. It's going to be my team selection. So today's stream is all about you guys and trying to make sure that your teams are finalized, or at least close to finalized, ahead of game week 1. So if you guys did miss it, it's a fairly big announcement, and I am absolutely delighted to say that I have partnered with Fantasy Football Hub for the 2022-23 season. Forgot what season we were in there. So I have partnered exclusively with Fantasy Football Hub. So all of the stats we'll be using throughout the season will be with Fantasy Football Hub. Anything using to plan ahead, anything to look at our team, work out the optimal team, the fixture ticker, the points projections, all of that stuff will be through Fantasy Football Hub. So I'll be using them in pretty much every video. I'll be completely honest with you guys, the site looks ridiculously slick. They've made so many upgrades. I jumped onto the site. The user interface is so good. It's genuinely one of the best sites I've ever used. So slick, so easy to organize your stats. And you guys know how often I use my stats. So throughout the season, transfer tips videos, game week preview videos, team selection, we're going to be free version first before you get into it and start using the paid for version. Don't feel like you've got to pay for it. I'm not going to force any of you to. Feel free to use whatever you want. But if you would like to use the site, then I would massively appreciate that. And we'll be using it throughout today to help rate your teams as well. Okay? So let's jump into it. So I don't know if did my stream lag out there? Or was it just on my end? You'll have to let me know. My internet has been playing up today, but hopefully it'll be fine for today's stream. Right, let's get into rating your team. So basically the greetings from Sunny Kent. It is, to be fair. Yes, it did lag. Okay. You probably missed everything then. Yeah, it did lag for a bit. Basically, I was just saying I'm going to be using Fantasy Football Hub for the entire season. If you want to check Fantasy Football Hub up, then please, if you want to check them out, please use the link in the description, because it's basically an affiliate link, right? So it helps to support the channel. It's a track link as well. So if you use the link in the description, it helps to support me. You also get access to a very good site as well, right? So all of that being said, today, like I said, I've preloaded 5 of your teams using the new My Team feature. So they've only introduced that this year. And I'll be honest, it's absolutely class. So what you get with this is you get to plan ahead. So you can look at your team in game week 1, game week 2, game week 3, etc. You get a team rating. So if I just click on the eye here, what you can get is it's your overall team rating based on your current game week and your predictions over time. So it's weighted across the next 5 game weeks, specifically focusing on the next few in particular. And it tells you how your team is going to perform, how they think your team will perform over the next 5. You also get a game week rating, which tells you how your team looks for that specific game week up to 100%. And you also get a predicted points as well. So we're going to be using this throughout the season in the team selection videos. But like I said, I've preloaded 5 of your teams, chosen some slightly different teams in here to hopefully show you how you can use the feature if you want to. Like I said, link will be in the description. If any of you want to try it out or you just want to support the channel, then go for it. King's Football Show says, big up to all the new members. You will love the community. Discord is great. I appreciate that. Hopefully they do as well, for sure. The team on screen is literally mine. Can you please rate it? We are going to absolutely do that. Steve Sedman says, 2nd year using Hub. I love it and rate it. Good to hear, Steve. Hopefully you'll continue to use it this season then, for sure. Yeah, I'm excited to use it this season. Right, let's do this. So this team that I'm presenting on screen first, so like I said, we're going to go through 5 teams here. So this first team that I've been sent in, I haven't noted down who sent them, apologies, they were sent in earlier on Twitter. This is what I would say is probably the template team at the moment. And it's a 5-3-2, which we haven't seen a lot in previous seasons, but there is a lot of value in the defenders. And it's since the Community Shield, a lot of people have switched from Diaz to Robertson. Robertson did look absolutely excellent. Diaz looked good, but Robertson did definitely look like the one to own in the Community Shield. And I think as a result, a lot of people that were playing 4 at the back have gone for Robertson as well. And as such, they're playing a 5 at the back. It does leave the midfield a little bit weak. I'm not entirely sure. Let me know what you think of this sort of draft. We've just had Vigard, again, apologies for butchering your name. You've just upgraded to a Rap Tier 1 membership. I do really appreciate that, my man. Thank you. So, starting in goal with Ramsdale, like I said, I don't want to spoil too much because my team selection video will be dropping at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. But I have got Ramsdale in goal currently as my keeper. I do think that of the £5 million keepers, Ramsdale's probably my favourite. The reason for that above someone like Mendy is they've looked significantly better in pre-season. And Arsenal actually concede quite a few shots and Ramsdale makes quite a few saves. Now, he wasn't fantastic last season. I just think that Arsenal have got a combination of the fact that they're a decent defence, but I still think a fair amount of shots will be saved by Ramsdale. So hopefully we'll see what we saw last season where he'll get quite a few sort of like 10, 11, 12 pointers. So I'm quite a big fan of the Ramsdale in goal. I don't mind going down to a 4.5. And equally, I don't even mind Ederson and Alisson at 5.5. I'm not particularly fussy with keepers at the moment. I just think that personally, Ramsdale looks like the one to own at 5 for me, in my personal opinion. The only thing that I would say that makes me, not puts me off Ramsdale slightly, that makes me think that you could potentially go elsewhere is I really, really like Gabriel and I also like Zinchenko. But Gabriel in particular, I think could be a really awesome £5 million defender to choose. And I'm not sure that I would want to double up on the Arsenal defence. That's not to say because I think the Arsenal defence is bad. It's more so the fact that I just think that I think the Arsenal attackers are going to be fantastic value. So I think Saka, Jesus, Martinelli, all of these options, maybe even Smith Rowe, Vieira, Ødegaard at different points. I think they could all really, really be nice options. So that's why I wouldn't double up on the Arsenal defence personally. I just think from game week 3 onwards, you're going to probably want 2 Arsenal attackers. So all of that to basically say I really like Ramsdale. And I think Ramsdale could be an awesome keeper. We've just had 2 other people become members. I'm not sure why everyone's being so kind, but I do really appreciate it. I hope you enjoy being a member. I'm really sorry. I don't even know how to go about pronouncing your name there. Please let me know. LJUBOMIR. If you can phonetically spell your name in the chat, that would be awesome. And we've got Rashid as well, who's just become a Rap Tier 2 member. If you've become a Rap Tier 1 member, please DM me on Twitter or message me on Discord and I'll get you added into our private chat where I give you all of the team advice and stuff and also into our private mini league. So obviously Rap Tier 2 members, you don't get all those perks. But if you're a Rap Tier 1 member, please do personally message me and we'll get that sorted for you. So Ramsdale in goal, like I said, I'm a pretty big fan of that. I like that. And then it's just an absolutely massive at the back team. And it's hard to disagree with this, right? It's hard to say that this doesn't make sense. But Robertson and Trent, so you get both the Liverpool fullbacks, Cancelo, James and Perisic. It is massive at the back, but like I said, can you say that isn't good value? 7 million for Robertson and Cancelo, 6 for James, and only 5.5 for Perisic. They will arguably outscore the equivalent sort of 5.5 to 6 million pound midfielders. You would imagine anyway. Perisic and James, such high potential. Cancelo and Robertson, excellent for clean sheets and also attacking potential. And Trent, I wouldn't argue with anyone that's picking Trent personally. So it's difficult to say that that's not good value. I don't know. It just makes me question if you're a little bit sort of inflexible and weak in midfield, if some of the midfield options start to emerge. At the moment, game week 1, it looks absolutely fantastic, right? Moving on to the midfield, Salah's obviously in there. You need at least 1 premium, in my opinion. This draft has 2, which I do think is optimal, but I think Salah's good. And you've got then Neto and Bailey. And this is where I personally think that it probably falls down slightly, this team, is you've got absolutely no midfielders above 5.5. So if Martinelli starts to do well, if Rashford, Sancho, Grealish, Coutinho, Barnes, Kulusevski, Mount, Foden, Mahrez, Sterling, all of these players, right, all the way up to 8 and maybe even £10 million, you're going to find it not only tricky to do, it's virtually impossible because even if you downgrade Robertson or downgrade James, that's only going to give you 2 million to play with. That still won't allow you to go from a Neto to a Mount or a Neto to a Sack. You're not going to be able to get up to those £8 million mids. So you've almost blocked yourself out there. I have just noticed this one has Martinelli on the bench, right? So it makes it a little bit easier, but it's still not particularly easy to get up to those 7.5, even to 7 and £8 million midfielders. So, by the way, I was going to say I would probably play Martinelli, but I understand Crystal Palace away is not the easiest fixture, so I don't mind necessarily if you don't want to go, if you want to put Martinelli on the bench. I think that's probably a little bit too much money on the bench, but I guess in future game weeks, what you're going to do is you're just going to probably put Martinelli in there for Leon Bailey, right? And Bailey becomes one of your bench options. So I don't mind Martinelli on the bench, but I guess I don't want to keep going on about the same thing. And I know a lot of people think I might maybe over-exaggerating and over-discussing it, but I do think there's a lot of value in those sort of 7 to 8 million pound midfielders. Like I said, all of the 7s, Barnes, Grealish, Coutinho, Sancho at 7.5, and then up you've got those 7, 8 million pound mids. I just wonder how you're going to get there if you really need to. I guess you could do James down to... I'll show you how you can do it, right? But again, this requires... If you have any sort of price rises, you're going to really struggle to do this. But you could do sort of James down to Patterson, down to a £4 million mid, and then I guess you just do Martinelli up to an £8 million mid. right? So let's just say for now, let's just go like Mason Mount. I don't really mind which £8 million mid you go for. And then you would just sub on Bailey, right? So it would be switching it to a 4-4-2, but you could definitely get to an £8 million mid, assuming there are no price rises. If there's any price rises, you're then looking at maybe 3 transfers. So I suppose, like I said, it's not as inflexible as I'm maybe suggesting, and maybe you can get away with not having an £8 million mid or not having a mid-price midfielder in there. That's just my only, not even issue with the 5-3-2, but my only worry if you're going for a similar 5-3-2 to what we've just seen. All right, so let me put Patterson back in. Let's just switch it back to what the team was, right? Just so that you can see what the Fantasy Football Hub algorithm thinks of it. James and then Mount goes to Martinelli, right? So that's my opinion on this draft. Basically, I think it's excellent. I would probably, if I'm going to give this a rating out of 10, I would probably give this a probably 7.5/8 out of 10. I think it is very good. I just think, like I said, for sort of structure reasons, I prefer having an extra midfielder in there and one less defender. So the Fantasy Football Hub algorithm says that your team rating, if you go with something like this, is 98%. So it's over the next 5 game weeks. They think that this is a 98% rated team. So the Fantasy Football Hub algorithm absolutely loves this team. The game week rating is 91%, which suggests that it's brilliant over the next 5, and it's pretty good this game week, but maybe even slightly better over future game weeks. So 91% there. And projected points, this is actually one of the highest I've seen at 69.9. So verging on 70 projected points for the upcoming game week and game week 1. It's difficult to argue with this, right? I think this is arguably one of the strongest drafts you can build. It's pretty similar to my draft. The only major difference is I currently have Diaz ahead of Robertson. So I really do genuinely love this draft. I think it's fine. Maybe just I would change the structure slightly if it was my team. But again, I don't just want to make this my team, because then I might as well just do a team selection video. The other thing you can do, like I said, is that this is why I think this is such an excellent feature, because there have been features like this before on different sites. Not only can you do this for one game week, but this is something that the FPL site doesn't have. You can look ahead to the next game week. All right, so if I switch this to game week 2 now, you can see all of a sudden game week rating is actually 80%. So this team is 91% for game week 1. Looks really good. Not as great for game week 2. However, you can bring Martinelli in. Right, so if we switch Martinelli in for Perisic, all of a sudden that bumps it up to 83%. And you could even, if you wanted to, maybe make a transfer at this stage. For example, if this week you decide, you know what, I actually want to do Kane to Haaland, right, because you would have a free transfer to use, and then you wanted to captain Haaland, all of a sudden you can actually get this up to 92% with a 70.3 projected points, right? So there are ways to make this team absolutely excellent, and that actually boosts the team up to 100% rating. So maybe this is a nice plan. Start in a 5-3-2 with Perisic, Bailey, Martinelli. Then what you can do is in game week 2, you can switch Kane to Haaland, and you can actually bring Martinelli in for Perisic. And you can boost your team up to something which looks pretty perfect for game week 2. If we then switch to game week 3, again, game week 3 is one of those game weeks where there's actually a few players with tricky fixtures, but you can switch Neto out again for Perisic, right, if you want to. So Neto to Perisic, and you can also maybe do Andreas in for any of your players that you want to. So maybe you don't want to play like Robertson and Trent, or maybe you don't want to play, I think it would probably be the only one there, so you might just want to leave it there. Maybe you want to switch Andreas to first sub. You can get a decent position for this, but because you've got 3 Liverpool players against Manchester United, Bailey's not got the easiest fixture against Crystal Palace. The team doesn't look as fantastic for game week 3, but I guess all to say, I really do like the sort of the 5-3-2 structure. I think it is a very, very nice looking team. Like I said, you're going to get what is looking like a very, very strong team for game week 1, 91%. If you do the Kane to Haaland move in game week 2, you can get your team rating all the way up to 100%, which I think is absolutely fantastic. By the way, does anyone know what the predicted points and projected points is based off? I believe it's their own algorithm, but that is something which I can maybe discuss with the Fantasy Football Hub guys. I can maybe ask exactly how they work out, see if they've got any formula that I can share on one of my future YouTube videos for sure. I've just seen we've got another member, Sachin again. Thank you very, very much. And Owen's just sent me a super chat. Thank you, Owen. Said, Twitter, DM my team. Sure, yeah. When I do the post, Owen, comment down below on that post and I'll prioritize yours because obviously you've donated as well. So if there's any super chats, I'll obviously prioritize that. And apologies for the bots in the chat trying to promote random websites. Thank you for dealing with that super duper. I appreciate that. So that was the first team. What do you guys think? Let me know in the chat. What do you guys think of that team? Very, very interested to hear whether you guys think this is a good team or whether potentially the cheap midfield puts you off slightly. I think having Martinelli in there is slightly nicer than, because some of the teams I've seen don't even have Bailey, don't even have Martinelli. It'll just be Bailey, Neto, and then two £4.5 million defenders. And then maybe they've got like Ederson and then maybe like a Diaz in Perisic's spot. Yeah, a few people think it's maybe just missing that. Yeah, I do just think the midfield's a little bit thin. I agree. Who said that? Oh, God, I've lost that message. Someone just said the midfield's a bit thin. Yeah, it was Chris. Yeah, Chris, I agree. I think the midfield's a little bit too thin. I would like to see, even if it's like a Sancho or a Grealish, I would like to just see, or Harvey Barnes, I think could be a really nice option. It doesn't have to be an £8 million mid, but maybe just a little bit more. It just makes it a little bit easier to switch around those players. How can you get your team rated? I'm going to put out a tweet soon. These are ones that I preloaded from my tweet earlier. I'm just going to go through the Fantasy Football Hub algorithm just for 5 teams. And then after that, we're going to go over to Twitter and I'll ask for some of your teams as well. How do you rotate Bailey and Neto in your opinion? Let's have a look. So, I mean, game week 1, you can play either of them, right? Bailey's got Bournemouth. Neto's got Leeds. The Fantasy Football Hub algorithm is saying that Neto is projected to get 4.5 points in game week 1, whereas Bailey's projected to get 4.2. Game week 2, probably. So basically, Neto looks like he'll get the nod most of the time. It will just be probably in game week 3 and game week 7 that you're looking to play Bailey ahead of him. That Tottenham game, I don't particularly like. I think I prefer to play Bailey against Palace. But for me, just about, I do think I prefer Neto ahead of Bailey. I think if I had to choose between the two, even with the price being taken into consideration, I do think I prefer Neto. So I think most of the time, Bailey will be on your bench. It's only when you fancy Bailey to start ahead of Neto, probably. Sancho is looking fire. Yeah, I agree. I really, really like Sancho. Is it okay to have 0 million in the bank? Yes. As you'll see with my team selection video tomorrow morning, like I said, drop in at 9 a.m. BST. Make sure you turn on notifications, by the way. I have actually found a draft I like with 0.5 in the bank, and I do genuinely believe if you can leave 0.5 in the bank, it can be absolutely massive, like genuinely massive. The reason I say that is because there'll be price rises and price falls quite a lot. So, for example, if Neto absolutely flops, he'll drop to 5.4. And if, for example, someone like Aronson, who I think is a really nice £5.5 million option, if he suddenly starts to do really well and he goes up, what you'll see is there's suddenly a £0.2 million difference between Aronson and Neto. Having 0.5 million in the bank will allow you to still move from Neto and Aronson. So I just think it just gives you that little bit of leeway. And my buzzword at the moment, which is flexibility, it gives you that flexibility in game week 1 and game week 2 to account for any potential price rises and price falls. Which of the 3 subscriptions on Fantasy Football Hub does include this function you have on your screen now? I believe all of them do, but it will have a list. It's called the My Team tool. I would recommend the middle one, right? That is the premium subscription. Of course, if you want to pay for the Ultra one, go for it. Again, I'm not trying to rip you guys off. I genuinely do really, really love the Fantasy Football Hub website, so I'm not going to encourage you to spend more than you can or that you should. The good thing is at the moment, because it's pre-season, it's 50% off, right? So that goes for anyone that's watching this and is considering to signing up to Fantasy Football Hub. Please do use the link, but if you don't want to, don't worry. But do it in pre-season. It's 50% off over the next few days. If you wait until after game week 1 to sign up to Fantasy Football Hub, there might not be such a big discount. So I would go for the middle option, like the premium option, probably. I have 1.5 million in the bank. What are your thoughts on transferring Bowen in exchange for Sterling? Yeah, I think I prefer... Yeah, I would do that. I think Sterling over Bowen. And then you can always go back to Bowen, right? Starting with the more expensive midfielder probably makes sense. How do you join your Discord channel? The link will be in the description to the Discord channel. Just click it, join it, and once you've done that, send me a message and I'll add you to the private chat, if you remember. Ross, what do you think of Bailey? I assume you mean Bailey rather than Eric Bailly. Bailey's fine. I don't mind Bailey. I just think there are slightly better options personally. The standard membership doesn't have all of the tools from memory. Yeah, I agree, Frosty. It doesn't have all of them. I think the My Team one was still in there, but you'll have to just check. When you sign up, when you click the link in the description, it will take you and it will give you all of the perks for that one. Sorry to put you on the spot, Raptor. Why do you recommend Fantasy Football Hub? That's absolutely fine, right? So most of the sites will give you the stats that you need. It's what you're looking for. And for me, personally, I like the user interface for Hub. We'll discuss it in future videos and stuff. It's just so slick. And you know what I mean? Like when you're on a website, I'm not going to name call websites. I'm not here to name call certain websites, but sometimes websites, it can be really tricky to try and work out what you're trying to find. How do I find expected goals? How do I get my team to be rated? How do I find this particular graphic? So Fantasy Football Hub is just extremely, extremely slick. And there is some stuff coming in the pipeline, which I can't say at the moment, but there's more coming from Fantasy Football Hub, essentially. Right. So that was the first team. I'm gonna give it an 8. I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10 for that first team. 5-3-2. I do really like it. Just a little bit thin in the midfield. Right. This was the second team. I think this was sent in by my main man Marco. I don't know if he's watching. A bit of a rival over on Twitter. I do think... right, so this is a no Salah draft. This is the reason I've included it. I was very interested. What does the Fantasy Football Hub algorithm think of a no Salah draft, right? Because all of these algorithms, they love Salah. They always think Salah's the best captaincy option. They always try and push you to put Salah in your team. So I was interested, what does the Fantasy Football Hub algorithm think of a no Salah draft? And they actually really like it, right? So if we go back to the previous draft, we got up to 100%, 91% for game week 1. This one's actually only 95%, right? But if you switch to Haaland in game week 2, we could probably get that up to 100. And it's 91% as well in game week 1. And it's only 0.1 less than the Salah draft. So you can actually, genuinely, you can get a draft which, according to this algo, which is pretty good, you can get a draft similar to the first one and drop Salah. So what do you think, guys? Those of you that are on a no Salah draft, what do you think of this? He's actually got Son and Kane, so no Man City attacker, which is interesting. Gone for the Spurs double up in game week 1. And someone which hasn't been in any draft that I've seen really is Heung-min Son, and he's actually got Son as captain. Haresh Vlogs has become a member. Thank you very much, Haresh. Yeah, drop me a message and I'll get you added to the private chat and to our mini league as well. How do you feel about starting with Vardy over Jesus as a punt? I love Vardy. I think Vardy's an excellent. I think one of the drafts we're going to look at in a second has Vardy for sure. You think Leicester are going to struggle this year, Steve? Really? I've heard they're in financial trouble. I did see Sam Martin actually said something relatively similar, you know. I'm not sure a Salah-less team is worth the stress. Number one rule, more fun, less stress. That's true, Chris, for sure. Perisic and Diaz or White and Cancelo? I think probably White and It depends. If we get a nod that Perisic is going to start, probably Perisic and Diaz, to be fair, but I really do like Cancelo. Salah against football, I can't do it, but it's a brave draft. It is. So, Melier in goal. Melier's been getting a little bit of attention. I still don't think he's the best £4.5 million keeper, in my opinion. I think I prefer Raya. I think I even prefer Sanchez. I don't mind Melier. I just don't think he's the best option for me. This draft has Robertson, Trent, Diaz, and Cancelo. So, a very strong premium back four. 2 from City, 2 from Liverpool. And then the rest is fairly template, right? Jesus, Kane, Bailey, Diaz. Rashford is maybe getting a little bit less sort of attention than he had at the start of pre-season. Basically, the major difference here in comparison to most teams is just Son in for Salah, and that just gives you an extra million to play with. It does also give you double Spurs against Saints at home in game week 1, which I do really, really like. If we switch to sort of game week 2 for this draft, you can see it's 75%. The issue that you've got if you go for double Spurs is that both Salah and Haaland and KDB, the Liverpool and the City assets, they're better options in game week 2. So your game week 2 team, you can see 57.6 points. It doesn't look great for game week 2, but I guess at this stage you can, I don't know, you can switch Kane to Haaland. I mean, and if you wanted to take a -4, you could even potentially go from Son to Kevin De Bruyne as well. So you've got that option there, and then you can slap the captaincy on Haaland, and all of a sudden you're getting that up to 87%. So you can still improve your team for game week 2, but I'm not sure that I would want to be on a double Spurs personally. I think even if I was going without Salah, I think I would have a Spurs asset and a City asset, and they rotate really nice for captaincy. So if you start the season with Son, you can captain him in game week 1, then captain Haaland in game week 2 or De Bruyne in game week 2. So we've spoken about this before on our channel. We've spoken about the Man City Spurs captaincy rotation, and in my personal opinion, I think that's probably worth doing. Outside of that, I really don't see any major issues with this. I do like the Rashford punt. I guess I'm slightly worried that if Ronaldo stays, how many minutes is Rashford going to get? But I do still like it, and to be honest, I wouldn't mind. I could potentially still have Rashford in my game week 1 team. You're going to need 2 moves to get back to Salah. This is the issue with going without Salah. Because Salah's the most expensive midfielder, to get back to Salah, it's always going to probably take 2 moves, potentially sometimes even 3. So that is something to consider for sure. For sure. Apologies for that weird line there. That's the sun shining through my blinds. I do apologise if it looks a bit weird. So it's a decent team, to be honest. If we move through to game week 3, again, the team struggles a little bit because you've got Rashford against Liverpool. You've got Bailey against Crystal Palace is okay, I guess, but you've got Melier against Chelsea. So, to be honest, game week 1, it looks okay, but game week 2 is a little bit weaker than that first draft that I showed you. Game week 3, again, is a pretty weak draft. Both times you're looking maybe potentially under 60 points, projected points. It does perk up a little bit for game week 4 and beyond, but I still don't see the benefit of going without Salah. I don't think that £1 million saved is that big. And I still think that Salah's the best captaincy in game week 1. And he's got good fixtures right through till the you probably wildcard in game week 8 or game week 9. So I don't want to tear apart the no Salah draft too much. I don't mind it as a draft. It's good for game week 1 for sure. I still think I'd want to be captain in Salah in game week 1 though. What do you guys think? What do you think of the no Salah draft? Just probably not for me is my personal opinion on it. We have got another member, Gorgle Spook. I don't know how you pronounce that. Please do let me know. There's lots of accents all over those O's, so apologies if I've butchered that. Ian Padmore in the chat. Good to see you, Ian. Thank you for being here. Is Julian Alvarez going to be an option with the 5 sub rule? I think he's still a bit of a wait and see for me, but he did look excellent in the Community Shield, and he's looked pretty good in pre-season as well. I do think at some point this season he'll be in a lot of people's teams. Raptor, I really want you to rate my draft. I will try my best, Chris, to rate your draft when I see it. We're going to jump over to Twitter after I've got through a few of these. If you are enjoying the stream, by the way, please do drop a like. There are almost 500 people here, which is really cool, but there's only 75 likes. So if you're watching this and you're one of the people that hasn't liked, please do like. Also, please subscribe. We're trying to hit 20,000 subscribers before game week 1, and we are currently at 19,100. So we're 900 subs away. 900 subs away. Please rate my team. We've got a super chat. Sanchez, Ward, Trent Robertson, Cancelo, Justin. James Justin could be decent. I just worry with the fact that Schmeichel's now gone. There looks like a little bit of unrest at Leicester. I'm not sure he's the best £4.5 million defender, Justin. Mo, Martinelli, Bailey, Neto, Andreas, Kane, Haaland, and Archer. I actually really, as far as 3 premium drafts go, that's very, very nice. I suppose the only issue there is a lack of a mid-price midfielder, and I'm not sure about Justin. Also, you've got no Gabriel Jesus. So I guess I'd want to see Gabriel Jesus in there, and I'd maybe replace your £4.5 million defender. We've got another super chat. Says, I have Edison, Gabriel, Mings, Reece James, Trent, Neto, Bailey, Salah, Kane, Jesus, Haaland, Olsen, Andreas, Colback. What do you think? I'm not sure about Mings. There's rumours that he might actually have been dropped, Mings, but I think you could probably do better than Mings. Maybe if you can try and find 5 million for Luka Dean, I probably prefer that. Outside of that, mate, it's a very, very strong draft. Again, it's another 3 premium draft. I personally prefer the 2 premium drafts, but as far as 3 premium drafts go, it's very strong. You're covering most of the major bases. You've got Edison in goal to cover the City defence. I'd maybe just look at replacing Mings, and then if you can, try and squeeze potentially a Martinelli in midfield, potentially, like a more mid-price midfielder in there. $11 months, Marcelo, Mr. Max. By the way, if you are a member, one of the perks that you've got, which a lot of members don't know about, you can use a highlighted message every single month, and that's basically acts as a super chat. So if you just click on the chat, if you're watching this, what Max has just done there, as a member, you get a highlighted message once a month. So Max has been a member for 11 months, almost a year. Wow. Cape Town is the house. Good to be back. Had a nice break. Missed you lot. Fully back on Discord in a few days. Good to see. Who is the best £4.5 million forward? It's a great question, Max. Let us know in the chat. Who is your favourite £4.5 million forward at the moment? I would probably say mine at the moment is Cameron Archer at 4.5. Outside of that, I quite like Plange, and I guess Greenwood could be a decent option. But for me, it's Cameron Archer of Aston Villa. By the way, if you've just joined, the announcement on today's stream, I did announce it on Twitter already, but we have partnered with Fantasy Football Hub for the season. If you want to get access to all of the tools that we'll be using in these videos, such as the new My Team feature, which we're using right now, use the link in the description, right? You get a 50% discount if you use that link, and also you're supporting the channel. So it's like a win-win. If you're going to sign up anyway, use that link. Right, so that was the second team. Let's move on to the third team now. So what was the third team? Why did I select this one? Yes, it's the Haaland, Darwin, and Jesus front line. I tell you what, this is the sort of draft I like, right? Because I think it's sensible. I look at this and I don't think you've picked a silly number of differential players, because sometimes I think people can go overboard by selecting too many differential players. I think it's strong enough, it's structured enough, but there are just a few picks in there which I think could separate you and could lead to having a really decent start to the season. So, just got a super chat. Raptor, are you okay? No Salah in this team. It's not my team. You joined late. I'm rating other people's teams. Of course, I would always have Salah in my team personally. I would always have Salah in my team. Yeah, a lot of people are saying Archer is their favourite £4.5 million forward. So there you go, Max. 4.5 is Archer. How was Ireland? Hope Ireland was epic. Yeah, Ireland was absolutely class. Definitely somewhere I want to go back to for sure. Right. Is Rodrigo worth a punt? Yeah, Rodrigo is worth a punt. Rodrigo and Aronson at Leeds. God, I'm hot. I've got a big studio light shining on my big bald head. Yes, I think Aronson and Rodrigo of Leeds are probably two players that are going slightly under the radar. Leeds' fixtures in general are very, very strong, and they've looked really attacking in pre-season. It's probably put me off Melier, right? Leeds haven't looked very defensively sound in pre-season, but they've looked very attacking. They look almost like Bielsa's Leeds. So I think Rodrigo at 6 and Aronson at 5.5 could be two really, really nice options for sure. So what do you think of this draft, guys? It's basically Darwin in there instead of a mid-price midfielder. The other players that are really nice that I don't see a lot of people picking is Saka, right? I actually don't see a lot of Saka because I think people have got like Jesus, Martinelli, and then a defender. And Martinelli does offer really fantastic value at 2 million less than Saka, but Saka in and of himself is a fantastic asset. And I even think you could make an argument to have Jesus, Martinelli, and Saka, right? I do think that they're that good, the fixtures from an attacking perspective after game week 2. I just think that it feels a little bit like overkill sometimes, going for Martinelli, Jesus, and Saka. So this draft has got Saka instead of Martinelli. The other player that I really like is Luca Dean, right? Of all the £5 million defenders, I think he is one of the better options. Bournemouth look like they're in an absolute state at the start of the season. Parker was the quotes coming out the press conferences are really quite worrying. They've not got a lot of fully fit defenders. So Luca Dean could quite easily pick up a 12 or 15 pointer in game week 1. I wouldn't be surprised at all. So yeah, they're probably the main three, I should say, additions that I like that a lot of other people haven't got. So Darwin in there instead of maybe like a Diaz or a Robertson. Saka in there instead of maybe like a Martinelli, who's quite popular at the moment. And Luca Dean as well. Could be a really, really nice option at £5 million. With respect to what the Fantasy Football Hub algorithm think of this team, 92% team rating, which as far as I know, yeah, it's lower than the other two, right? So only 92% in here. And it's actually, interestingly, only an 81% for game week 1. So it's not rated particularly highly by the Fantasy Football Hub algorithm. If we look at why that potentially is, the reason for that is there's Diaz in there instead of Cancelo, right? So the Fantasy Football Hub algorithm will obviously be a lot keener on Cancelo ahead of Diaz. You've obviously got Melier in there ahead of some of the other keepers which are projected to get more points. So that's something to consider as well. And Darwin is only projected to get 4.3 points as well. By the way, if you're using the Fantasy Football Hub site, if you just click on the eye, it will give you the fixture and also the projected points. So there may be some of the reasons the Fantasy Football Hub algorithm, they're not saying it's a bad team. Look, you've got a 92% team rating, but maybe that's why they're not projected to get as many points. They're the slightly different picks, I suppose you could say. Also, the captaincy was on Haaland in this team, which is something to consider as well. If you chuck the captaincy on Salah, that boosts you up slightly to 83%. So, listen, I really, really like this team. I like the punt on Darwin. A lot of people are asking me how I feel about Darwin as an investment. I personally would still put Diaz and Robertson ahead of Darwin. So it would be probably Trent, Salah, Robertson and Diaz very close. Now, I would probably put Darwin after that, but that's not to say I don't like him as a pick. If you watch the FPL Wire, Late Riser is all over Darwin at the moment, and he tends to be very, very good at trying to select these differentials at the start of the season. But for me, I'd probably just about put the other assets above it, but I really like Luca Dean as an option for sure. Just joined Fantasy Football Hub. That's great to hear, Victor. Great to hear. Did you see the Erdegaard interview regarding Arsenal penalties, Ross? Andre put it in Discord earlier. I didn't, Frosty. Can you let me know what was said in that interview? I'll be very interested to hear what was said. But no, I didn't see that interview at all. Will we be doing a deadline stream Friday evening? No, I'll be doing a deadline stream at midday on Friday. So about 12 p.m. I'll be going live for a couple of hours because I'm at Fantasy Football Fest in the evening. If you're at Fantasy Football Fest, by the way, come and grab me and say hello. We've got a super chat from Pushkar says, rate my team, of course. I'm not trying, but I'm not trying to encourage people to pay money to get their teams rated. But obviously, if you do donate, I will rate your team. So we've got Raya, Trent, Cancelo, Perisic, James. Right, so ridiculously strong back four. Salah, Martinelli, Neto, Bailey, Haaland, and Kane. Wow. It's difficult to... Yeah, that's an excellent, excellent, excellent team. The only issue I have with that is I genuinely do believe Jesus is going to go crazy at the start of the season. I think he's going to continue his preseason form. So my only issue with that is I would really want Jesus in there. But I guess you're covering that because you get Salah, Haaland, and Kane. I'll be honest, that's one of the better 3 premium drafts I've seen. Yeah, Pushkar. I really like that. Basically, Erdegaard said something along the lines of they discuss it on the pitch and whoever feels good can take it. There we go. Thank you very much for sending that across, Frosty. So it does look like Martinelli could take some pens, Jesus could, Saka could. I still think probably Saka's top of the bunch, but I don't think that necessarily means he's going to take every penalty. Keep up the great work, Raptor. Respect. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I will continue to try and keep up the good work. Frosty legend. Frosty is a legend. I would go as far as saying that Frosty is the biggest legend of the channel, for sure. Sancho versus Rashford. I prefer Sancho personally. I think Sancho is going to have a really good season. I worry that with Ronaldo coming back, Martial will be pushed out to the left, which will rotate with Rashford and Elanga. I think Sancho is going to be the most nailed on. Is Darwin going to start? If you pushed me now, I would genuinely say no. But if he did start, I wouldn't be surprised. Hopefully, Klopp gives us something in the press conference. Raptor, love your streams. What's your thoughts on Almiron as a punt? Well, firstly, I appreciate that. Secondly, I think I prefer Bailey, but I don't mind it. Listen, this is the sort of position in your team where you can take a punt. It's the exciting part of your team where you can be a little bit different with it. Raptor, who do you prefer, Grealish or Sancho? Probably Sancho. But obviously £0.5 million more. So just to skip forward ahead for this team, it's actually decent for Game Week 2. Not too terrible, especially if you slap the captaincy on Haaland. You can push that up to 84%. Perisic can then be switched out if you want to for Andreas, right? Or for Neco Williams, whoever you want to do. That pushes the rating up a little bit. So it's not a terrible team. By all accounts, Game Week 3 might become a little bit trickier. It will for a lot of teams, though. Game Week 3 is one of those weeks where a lot of the players that we've picked in Game Week 1 are just, they don't have the best fixtures, especially Manchester United, Wolves players, etc. So it's something to consider. But generally speaking, I like the fact that this is a bit different. I'm a bit fed up of seeing the same team over and over again, right? You've seen it as well. Unfortunately, my team selection video will be relatively similar as well. So I like the fact that this is slightly different, but it's not a crazy, it's not a stupid team by any means. Like, I really do like it. The fourth team is this one here. And the reason I selected it is because there's a few differential players that I just wanted to discuss. Again, it's nice to see something slightly different. And once again, it's actually performing fairly well in the algorithm. Now, by the way, for those of you that think maybe the algorithm just says that everything is fantastic, it doesn't. I've plugged in some teams that have been at like 65%. I'm just selecting, obviously, teams that I think are pretty good. Obviously. Right, we've got another super chat from Siobhan. By the way, I appreciate everyone that's donating and becoming members and stuff. It massively helps to support me. Obviously, this isn't my full-time job. This is to support me and to be kind of like a hobby whilst I'm at uni. But I do massively appreciate everyone that's been kind enough to do so. Rate my team. Melier, Trent, Cancelo, Zinchenko, Dalot, Salah, Son, Neto, Bailey, Kane, Jesus. Okay. It's another 3 premium draft. There's a lot. Do you know what? Let me put a poll in the chat. What am I doing? I'm going to put a poll in the chat. I want to know how many premiums you've currently got. So when I ask how many premiums you got, I'm not talking about Trent. I'm not talking about Cancelo. I'm not talking about Jesus or Vardy. Premiums, I'm probably talking about from 12 million and up, right? So Son, KDB, Kane, Haaland, Salah, right? So focusing on those premiums. How many premiums do you have in your draft? Because I'm seeing a lot of 3 premium drafts, which is interesting. Right, I've just slapped that poll in the chat, guys. Feel free to comment on it in the chat as well. But I just want to know how many premiums you guys have. Back to your super chat, Shivam. I really do like that team. There's not much I would change here. Like I said, Melier's not my favourite £4.5 million keeper. But I like Dalot, Zinchenko, Trent and Cancelo. There's not a lot, to be honest. I would again argue that that's probably one of the better 3 premium drafts. I like the fact that you can get Kane, Jesus, Son and Salah. Those 4, I think, are excellent picks. And Son will be a massive differential in comparison to other people in the FPL community for sure. Raptor, I've been watching you for a while now. You've offered a different aspect on FPL, and I appreciate it. Much love. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. Appreciate the kind words. That's very kind of you to say. Oh, the bots are back in the chat. The bots are back in the chat. Can the moderators help me just deal with some of these bots? Thank you. Remember, guys, like this stream. Push for over 300 likes. Yeah, if you're watching the stream, you're enjoying it, please do drop a like. Who's the best 4th defender after Trent, Robertson and Cancelo? At the moment, I actually really like Reece James. Is probably going to be that. I know there's talk about potentially Chelsea playing a back 4. There's talk about potentially like Cucurella coming in and mixing it up a bit. I still think Reece James will offer enough. But outside of that, I think maybe Gabriel, Trippier, I like. So, speaking of Gabriel and Trippier, 2 really nice inclusions in there. These are probably, if I were to name my 2 favourite £5 million defenders at the moment, it's probably Trippier and Gabriel. You can see here, Trippier has actually, on the Fantasy Football Hub algorithm, got a 4.7 predicted points for game week 1, which is remarkably high. If we compare that to someone like a Martinelli, Trippier is actually projected to get more points than Martinelli in game week 1. He's actually projected to get 0.4 less than Cancelo. So as a game week 1 pick, tune into my team selection video tomorrow, by the way. I really like Trippier as a pick. I think he could do very, very well. They've also got Brighton, Wolves, Palace and West Ham's the other fixtures. It's just if you can get away with benching him in game week 3 or game week 5 Trippier, there are some really nice rotations, which I'll discuss in tomorrow's video for Trippier. So I really like that. And then Gabriel, like I said, I really fancy the Arsenal defence to do quite well this season. And he's got quite a lot of goal threat as well. You can see by his projected points, he's projected to do fairly well every single week. So I like those 2 as 5 millions. If you were to ask me at the moment, put me on the spot, who are your 2 favourite £5 million mids, defenders, I should say, it's Trippier and Gabriel. The other inclusion here, which was a little bit different, is Trossard. I haven't seen a lot of it, but if you actually look at the Hub Algo, they're actually fancying him to do fairly decently here. You can see 4.2, 3.9. This couple here in game week 4 and game week 5 for Trossard could be really nice. The only thing is Trossard actually played wing-back in one of the pre-season games, and there are a couple of worries there that he could be playing a little bit further back. But if he does play, I think there's probably worse options at that price. But I just think maybe I would prefer a Neto at 5.5 and maybe use the money to go elsewhere with it. I don't mind that. But I don't mind Trossard as an option. I like the fact, again, that we're getting a couple of different players in here. We've also got Vardy. I think Vardy is a great option at 9.5. Again, if you can afford to go for Vardy over Jesus and you want to take that punt, I think Vardy's arguably one of the players that's going most under the radar. If you look at projected points for game week 1, it's actually 6. So he's projected to get 6 points, which is higher than a lot of players out there. And it's 7.5 for game week 3. So owning Vardy for the first 3 game weeks and then switching to a Gabriel Jesus from sort of game week 4 onwards could be quite a fruitful sort of combination of transfers there and a combination of players to pick. So I do really like that. And then Mitrovic was the final player there, not receiving a lot of love because of the fixtures, but he is talismanic. He is on penalties, and you could probably do worse than going for Mitrovic at 6.5. So I really like this team. They actually had Kane as captain, and according to the Hub algorithm, he's actually projected to get more points than Salah in game week 1. So the Hub algo actually prefers Kane and Son to Salah. So listen, I think that this is a really nice team. Trippier and Gabriel I like. Trossard and Mitrovic, I'm not sure on. But generally speaking, it's got a decent rating from the Hub algorithm. So I don't mind this as sort of a slightly more differential draft. What do you guys think of this? What do you think of the slightly different picks? Good evening, Ross. Good evening, Robert. Good to see you, my man. Trippier is a shout. I really like Trippier. Trippier's, just like I said, tune into tomorrow. Tune into tomorrow. Who has more predicted points in the first game week? Trippier, first 5 game weeks, Trippier or Cash? Let's have a look. So when you're doing this, by the way, if you're new to Hub, you can go on points predictions, or what you can do is you go on to player comparisons. If we just go on to, we can compare Kieran Trippier with Matty Cash. Sorry, my internet's lagging a little bit out here. So you can have a look here at some of their some of their statistics from last season, right? Or you can go to form and predictions. Sorry, my internet's really slow whilst I'm streaming. So you can see here, projected points is actually higher for Trippier over the first 5 game weeks. But the slightly easier way to do it, if you're just focusing on points predictions. So Trippier from game week 1 to 5. From game week 1 to 5 is, there you go, 14.6 points for Trippier, whereas Luca Dean and Matty Cash, I'll just show you both of them. Dean is 20.4, so slightly higher than Trippier, and Cash is 15.6. So it's actually sort of Cash and Trippier. Dean is the one that stands out. Cash and Trippier very close. So sort of take your pick, I guess. It really, really doesn't matter. The hub algorithm fancies all of them to do fairly well. Sorry, there's a few super chats there. We've got one from Omkar, says, rate my team. Botman, I like the Botman pick, Omkar. I've not seen a lot of people picking him. Jesus, Martinelli, Haaland, Salah, Mount. Mason Mount could be a really nice option too. There's not a lot that I would change about that. Really, really strong. That's fairly similar to my team, but you've got Robertson and I've got Diaz. So outside of that, Omkar, I really, really like your team. You said Trippier to Gabriel in game week 3. I think that could be nice. Yeah, I'd give that like an 8 or 9 out of 10. I think that's a really, really nice team. Got a super chat from Anurag, says, roast this team. You want me to roast the team? Okay, Ramsdale, Trent, Robertson, Cancelo, James, Luca Dean. I do like Luca Dean going under the radar. Luca Dean's one of my favourite picks. Mohamed Salah, Son, Martinelli, Neto, Jesus. I don't like the 1 striker formations particularly. I think it's nice to have 2 strikers. Outside of that, Mo and Son could be really nice. Like I said, Son's a bit of a differential at the moment. You could sell Son to Kane and Dean to James/Walker. No, I like that team. I'm not going to roast it too hard. I think that's a really nice team. Really nice team. Trippier has been a lock in my team for a while now. I do really like him as an option. Walker or Trippier. I'd probably say if you've not got Ramsdale, Arsenal defender is my favourite 5. Then Trippier, then Luca Dean, and then Walker. I just think Walker's attacking potential is so limited. It's put me off Walker slightly. He just doesn't... He could quite easily score, right? It happens. But he's not going to get you regular returns based on what we've seen in the past. Right, sorry, there are a couple of super chats just to get to. Hi, Raptor, what do you think of Robertson/Rashford versus Perisic and Martinelli? The rest of my picks are the templates. The first one's like significantly more expensive, right? So how are you affording that? Or are you saying Robertson versus Rashford and Perisic versus Martinelli? If you're saying that, I think I prefer Robertson to Rashford and I prefer Martinelli to Perisic. So if you're asking that, the combination for me would be Robertson and Martinelli there. Rate my team. Cancelo, Trent, White, Robertson, James, Salah, Mount, Saka, Pereira, Murphy, Kane. It looks like I feel like you've tried to squeeze a few too many expensive players in there. I'm not sure about Murphy and Pereira in your starting 11. Unless some of those are on the bench as well. It's a decent team. The defense is really nice. Cancelo, Trent, Robertson and James, Salah, Mount and Saka. I just feel like you've maybe tried to squeeze a few too many expensive players in there and you've got a few cheapies that I wouldn't probably want. Should we have a look at the £5 million defenders, actually? That might serve for a quick, good comparison to do. This is what I mean, guys. Like, again, this is an ad. I am working with Fantasy Football Hub for the season. It's just such a slick site. Like, it's just so easy to know what you want. Let me change it to 5 million. Let me change the game. You won't be able to see it just on the right-hand side there. It's easy to change the game weeks. It's easy to try and go if you want to go defenders. It's easy to change the price as well. It's just such a slick site to use. So if you order it by £5 million defenders, let me go up to 5 as well. So if we're just looking at £5 million defenders here, the Fantasy Football Hub algorithm actually likes Carl Walker at 23.6 projected points, which is really high for the first 5 game weeks. They've actually got Chalobah in there. Chelsea fans, let me know, do you think Chalobah's going to start? I guess this is assuming that he's going to play a fair amount of minutes. Then they've got Zinchenko in there, obviously, at Arsenal. So they like Zinchenko the most out of the Arsenal defenders. Luca Dean in there at 4th. Romero. someone that has not received much attention at all. Like, I don't think I've seen Romero's name at any point, really. You'll have to let me know if you've seen Romero's name a lot. Gabriel could be in there. Cucurella. Looks like he's going to move to Chelsea at the moment, but that's currently at Brighton. Where's my main man, Trippier? Trippier must be all the way down, which is interesting. Sorry, my internet's really, really slow. There we go. Trippier's all the way down at 14.6. There he is. So maybe Trippier's not the one. I mean, I like Trippier, but who am I to question the hub algo? Who am I to question the hub algorithm? So Walker, if you want to know projected points, Walker's the one. Walker does provide higher clean sheet rates compared to the other 5. Yeah, so if you're going for clean sheets, Walker's the one. If you want to go for like clean sheets and a bit of attacking potential, I think it is sort of Trippier, Luca Dean, and then one of the Arsenal defenders. Romero's an interesting one, though. I didn't expect to see Romero's name up there. Doherty. Yeah, Doherty could be good if we expect him to start. Chalobah is likely to start against Everton. So DJ Hammer's a Chelsea fan. He says that Chalobah's likely to start against Everton. So yeah, it could be a decent option if you want a cheaper way into the Chelsea defence. But I guess you've got Mendy at 5 as well. Right, let me just do the final team then. This was the final team that I wanted to look at. This is actually a team that I've built. So I built a freemium draft, and I just wanted to see what I could squeeze out of a freemium draft, and just see if if the hub algorithm, what do they think of the freemium draft? Interestingly, you'll see I've actually got Nico Williams in the starting 11. If you rotate Williams, Patterson, and Andreas, you can actually get a really nice, strong player in your team each week. So if you think Williams, Andreas, and Patterson are going to start most weeks, and Archer in there as well, almost every week, if you can get a starter in there, you've got a decent player. So I don't mind rotating that 11th spot between some of the cheaper players. It does leave the bench a little bit weak, but it allows you to get a strong defence, a decent midfield, and 3 premiums as well. So I think I'd be going for something along these lines if I was going with a 3 premium team. So I've gone for Raya in goal as the £4.5 million keeper. I've got Walker in there this time as the 5, just because I don't have Cancelo, obviously. So I do want to cover the City defence. So I've got Walker in there here. I've then managed to get Robertson and Trent in there, despite it being a freemium draft. Then, like I said, that 3rd spot each week will either be Nico Williams, Patterson, Andreas, or if Archer somehow gets into the starting 11, potentially him as well. The 3 premiums that I've got are De Bruyne, Kane, and Salah, right? So you've got one from each of the major teams. That could be Son and Haaland. I do think it's worth having one from each. I don't think I would double up on City or double up on Spurs. And then I've got Bailey and Neto as the 2 cheaper midfielders, and Jesus. So you do have that £8 million spot in your team covered. It's just in attack as opposed to in midfield. But what you can do if you wanted to, right, is you can switch Jesus down to, for example, let's just go for like a plange, right? And then you could switch into Andreas like that. And then you can switch Andreas to an £8 million midfielder. So if you wanted an £8 million midfield slot instead, you could potentially do that, right? So I could get Mount in there, I could get Maddison in there, it could be any of the £8 million mids. So this would be along the lines of what I would be going for. I would personally, though, be going for, like I said, Jesus. I just think Jesus looks like he's going to do very well this season. I don't see any reason to go against him, especially with the ownership. It seems like a very big risk to take. Let's see what the hub algo says then. Let's get Jesus back in. So it's a 95% team rating, right? Very, very strong. 87% for game week 1, 66.4 projected points. So it is very, very strong in there. If I just switch through to game week 2, I'd probably captain De Bruyne, right? Which pushes me up to 85% for this week. And at this stage, I'd probably, out of all of the players that I've got on option here, I think I would probably maybe go for Patterson. Right, like that. I mean, the hub algorithm probably prefers Nico Williams in here, right? So maybe Nico Williams or even Andreas Pereira in there instead of Nico Williams. So something like that. Right. Again, this is what I like about the new Hub My Team feature, is you can switch this around and just look at this percentage and look at the predicted points. And I know like some people like to follow their own opinion, and I'm not saying you should completely rely on this, but maybe if you're looking for an objective perspective, right? I'm not sure, do I play Patterson or Williams? Jump onto the My Team feature and just see what Hub think you should do. So listen, I'm not a massive fan of the freemium drafts, but if I were to build a freemium draft at the moment, I think it would be something along the lines of this. What do you guys think? Patterson and Trippier rotate very well. Indeed. Watch my video tomorrow, wink, wink, if you want to hear more about that for sure. Any news on Chilwell for game week 1? No, we're just waiting for Conte's updated presser would be good. So hopefully we hear something. I really don't like predicted points. I rather decide based on other data, which is absolutely fine. But the predicted points are based on expected data, and it's based on the difficulty of the fixtures, etc. as well. So you are kind of using stuff. So I'd rather find the 0.5 for Son for KDB and then switch game week 2. Son and KDB are the same price. They're the same price, Garrison. So you could just go for Son there if you wanted to, right? If you wanted Son for game week 1 along with Kane, you could do that. Right, so that's that section of the live stream over. I'm now going to jump onto Twitter and start rating some of your teams. All right, so I'm going to put out a tweet in a second and start rating some of your teams. Final part of just talking about this, like I said, so I have partnered with Hub for the season. If you'd like to support the channel, if you want to get your team onto Rate My Team, the link in the description, the first link in the description will take you there. It'll allow you to sign up. It supports me, but also gives you access to what I think is a great site. Like I said, you've not just got access to the My Team feature, you've got access to loads and loads of stuff, right? So you've got predicted points, fixture ticker, right? So we've just done the predicted points. My internet is struggling, right? You've got the fixture ticker here. You can organize it by defensive or attacking difficulty, right? So if you want to look at attacking fixtures, you can change the game week range really easily in there too. I mean, you've got Opta statistics as well. This is what I spend all of my time doing, right? So when I'm making the videos for you guys, I'm constantly on here. I'll be looking at expected goal involvement. You can organize it by 90 minutes. You can even hide the low minutes players. So there are countless features to use. Go and play with it for yourself, but link will be in the description. However, what we're now going to do is we're going to switch over to Twitter. Right. Sorry, my computer is really struggling. It's been a while since I've streamed. My computer's just like, no, not going to happen. I've got 13 DMs. Is everyone DMing me their teams? Stop DMing me your tweets. We're going to post it on here. If you are watching my live stream, drop your teams below to be rated. Let me just get the... God, my computer is having an absolute fit at the moment. Right, here we go. Just wanted to get that link in there. There you go. I've just slapped the link in the chat. So if you want your team rated, or I don't really rate them as such, but if you want your team commented on, I'll get up on the stream and we'll look through them. Just post it on that tweet there. By the way, stop spamming. Yeah, I'm spamming my own chat. Moderators, please don't block me. By the way, we are at 39,908 followers. We are less than 100 followers from 40,000. So if you want to follow me, please do. Please do give me a follow. Hopefully we'll hit 40,000 live on stream. That'd be pretty cool. I'll just give it a second. I'll just allow... Oh. Thank you very much for those that are commented camera. Yeah, I'm just resetting my camera. It did really well. It did an hour of not lagging. I'll just give that a second. Please feel free to drop your teams. I won't get around to doing all of them, but I will obviously do as many as I possibly can. We'll probably stream for about another half hour to 45 minutes. So I'll be able to get through a decent amount of your teams. And then, like I said, if you're interested in my team, if you're interested in what I'm doing, team selection video will be live at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning, and I'll go through what my team looks like. For those that posted a super chat, for those of you that donated, and if you've DM'd me your team, I'll get round to rating your team. If you dropped a donation, just make sure that you put your handle in it, etc., and I'll get around to it. I put my wife's team in. I'm pretty happy with my decisions, mainly spend my time tinkering with bench boost and the like. Okay, I'll have a look if I can see that one, Frosty. Just wait for my camera to go back up and then we'll jump on to looking at that. Don't know why my internet's really, really struggling all of a sudden. There's the tweet in case you've just joined. Right, let's do this. We'll give it a refresh. Back in we go. I've done your team already, Mr. Marco. I did your team on stream. I've given it a whole section. So if you joined late, go watch that. Right. I'm going to leave it like this. I think this is the best way because I think when you zoom in, sometimes we lose. Oh, that's actually all right. Okay, so Trent, Walker, Robertson, Trippier. Right, love that back line. Ward in goal and Raya on the bench. Again, you can switch those, I guess. If Ward looks like he's going to start, fair enough. Salah, Bailey, Kulusevski, Mahrez, Jesus, and Kane. I'll tell you what a way to start. What a way to start. What do you guys think? Kulusevski and Mahrez feel like two really nice game week 1 punts. Really, really nice. Kulusevski in particular, I think, could do very well in game week 1. It's just a matter of obviously after that when Richarlison's back. I assume he's still first choice, but how many minutes is he going to get? I would rate this team genuinely like an 8 or a 9. I think it's really, really creative. I really like it. I think you've got 2 decent premiums. I think double Spurs in game week 1 is lovely. I'm going to give that a 9 out of 10. As we're doing this, by the way, guys, feel free to drop your rating in the chat. I really, really like that, to be honest. Kulusevski could be a really nice shout in there. Good job, whoever that is, Fatty FPL. No Cancelo. Yeah, no Cancelo is the issue, but this is the thing. If you want 2 £8 million mids and Robertson, you probably can't get Cancelo. You can't have everyone, right? You can't have everyone. Got Liam's team. We've got Edison, Trent, James, Cancelo, Zinchenko. Basically the perfect back line. Again, Zinchenko versus Gabriel, it's basically preference. Salah, Luis Diaz, Bailey, Rashford, Jesus, Haaland. Very template, right? I would say that's quite a template team. Neto's the only one that you're missing there. I guess Bailey and Rashford is... This is a good question, actually. Bailey and Rashford or Neto and Martinelli? I think I would actually prefer Neto and Martinelli to Bailey and Rashford, but you've got a very, very solid team there. I don't see any major issues with that. I think it's very nice. For sure. Here's my team watching the stream. Much love. FPL Boogie. Let's have a look at your team. Melier in goal. Again, not my favourite 4.5, but that doesn't mean I don't think he'll do well. It's just I think you've potentially got some other options in there. Trent, Robertson, Cash, Johnny, and Saliba. Wow, there's some different picks in the back line there. Cash, Johnny, and Saliba. I've not seen in that many teams. Starting with Cash, I think I actually prefer Luka Dean slightly, but Cash has probably got a slightly better goal threat, but I don't mind either of them. I think they're really nice picks for game week 1, 2, and 3. Johnny, again, the Wolves defence has sort of fallen off the cliff. Like, not a lot of people are going for Wolves defence anymore, but again, Johnny, Leeds and Fulham in game week 1 and 2 could be a really nice shout. Same with 8 Nuri too. Saliba's an interesting one. I'm not an Arsenal fan. I was under the impression once Tomiyasu's back that Saliba will be battling out with Ben White, but if it looks like he's going to start at 4.5, Saliba could be a really nice option. It's nice to see some different picks in defence, though. And this is a freemium draft. So we've got Salah, Son, Kane, Jesus in there too, and Bailey. So, again, a bit thin in the midfield. You've got 2 £4.5 million midfielders and a 5 million. So you've got no one between sort of Bailey and Son. But really nice. I'd give that an 7.5 out of 10. Maybe an 8. Maybe an 8 if I'm feeling generous. But it's a really nice team. We've got a nice team in here. Raya, again, Raya's probably my 4.5 of choice. We've got Trent, Cancelo, Doherty as vice-captain, and Robertson. Listen, if Doherty starts, Doherty's stats last season were remarkably, really good. His non-penalty expected goal involvement was 0.41 last season. Like, that's better than Trent. Not better than Trent. It's better than Robertson, Cancelo, James, Chilwell. Doherty's stats last season were exceptional. So if he can get a start, I really like him as a 5 million. I just worry slightly that they've got Lucas Moura, they've got Emerson Royale, they've got Spence. They've got enough options in that sort of right back, right wing back slot. Mount, Salah, Aronson. Aronson's a great shout. Reeve's probably not watching, but Reeve over on Twitter has been chatting a lot about Aronson. Got 3 assists in the last preseason game. Aronson, if you don't know who Aronson is, by the way, new signing for Leeds. He's playing in the number 10 role. So he's playing in behind the striker for Leeds. And he's playing it very, very well indeed. And he looks like he's fairly nailed on. So I'll be honest, I am slightly tempted by Aronson. I think he's a nice differential in comparison to Neto. Jesus and Haaland is a fairly standard sort of front two, but I really like that. I'd go as far as saying, yeah, that's maybe an 8, 8.5, maybe an 8.5. I really like that team. Very, very strong. 117 people have sent their team. I don't think mine will get seen now. I'll try. I'm just going to scroll through. I'll refresh it in a bit and scroll through again. Yeah, it's difficult to get through everyone's tweets, unfortunately. So just going back through the chat, Frosty said because he's an Arsenal fan, we suspect White and Saliba will fight out for right centre-back. Yeah, so maybe Saliba and White's not the ones to go for. Love your content, Ross. Just posted my team. Hopefully I get through to your team then. Right. Donna. Let's have a look at this, Donna. Let's have a look at the team. So we've got Cancelo, Trent, Zinchenko, James, Edison. Basically the perfect back line. Very similar to what I'm going for at the moment. Luis Diaz, Martinelli, Salah, Neto, Jesus, Kane. It's genuinely very template and very, very good. It's very close to what you'll see from my team selection video tomorrow. There are some differences for sure. It's extremely close to my team for tomorrow, though. And I genuinely think if you're trying to go for a team that has all the right players, has the best price points, is in a flexible sort of formation, I think that's probably the best you can go for there. I will give that a 9 out of 10, Donna. I think that's really strong. Got Steven's team here. Steven is a member, so good to see some of the members posting their teams. We've got Sanchez, Trent, Diaz, Robertson. Very strong. Diaz isn't picked by a lot of people, but he could be a sort of a nice option. I do wonder if you just drop all the way and go for a Kyle Walker instead, potentially. Got a midfield 4 of Martinelli, Bailey, Salah, and Mount. And then a front 3, we don't see that very often, of Tony, Kane, and Jesus. Has Clive been getting into your head by picking Tony? We've got a Brentford fan as a member. There's a lot of Brentford propaganda in the Discord chat, but I do like it. And Tony, again, could be a mega differential. Still on penalties. Brentford have really nice fixtures to start the season. I don't mind Tony. To be completely honest, though, if this was my team, if you're thinking about stuff that I would do, I would switch to a 3-5-2, and I would actually switch Tony to Harvey Barnes or a Grealish. So, yeah. But I don't mind Tony. Or even Martial. Martial could be a really cheeky punt. Really nice team, though. I'll give that an 8. 8 out of 10, Stephen. Well, this is an interesting team. So we've got, again, 2 City players in defence, 2 Liverpool players in defence, which I think is really strong. Salah, Saka. So it's the first time I've seen Saka in a while. Again, this is because we've got Robertson instead of Diaz. And then we've got Neto, Bailey, Kane, and Jesus. Again, fairly template. I do like the Saka pick alongside Jesus. And I do really like the double Liverpool, double City defence. I think this is a very strong formation, very strong team. Sort of like 8.5 out of 10 again. It's a lot of the same sort of teams, to be honest. Here we go. A couple of different players in here. We've got Ramsdale in goal. We've got Luke Dean and Bailey. So fancying that Bournemouth fixture in game week 1. I don't blame you for doing it. Mason Mount getting a little bit of love in there as well at the moment. Let me know in the chat, guys. Let's remove Diaz from the conversation. Someone's beeping outside my house. Remove Diaz from the conversation. Who is your favourite £8 million mid outside of Diaz? Right, so if we remove Diaz, say you can't pick Diaz, say you've gone for Robertson instead, who is your favourite £8 million midfielder? I know Saka gets a lot of love, so I expect Saka to be up there, but maybe Mason Mount? Is it a Phil Foden, Amara? Have you been put off the City mids? Maybe even I'm thinking, what about like Maddison? Maddison probably isn't getting enough credit. With respect to this team, give it like a 7.58 out of 10. I think it's pretty good. I'm sorry, I'm going to skip past. Oh, there's a member there. We'll do this one quickly. Yeah, that's very strong. I'd give that like a 9, not even 9 point. That's basically as strong as you can get with Robertson. If I were to have a Robertson draft, it's basically this draft here. What's everyone saying in the chat? A lot of love for Mahrez, interesting. Maddison, Saka, Kulusevski. Okay, it's quite split actually. Sancho needs to be in the discussion too. He's probably 3rd on my list. Yeah, chuck Sancho into the discussion. It gets even more tricky. It's really difficult. This is why I do like having an £8 million midfield spot in there, though. That's the reason I like it. Really nice team there. Really nice team. Got a slightly different team here. It's a no Salah team. Instead, we've got Robertson, Trent, and Darwin from Liverpool, which is really strong. Let me end this poll, by the way. It looks like most people are going for 2 premiums if you're interested in like the general structure. Not a lot of people going for the 1 premium drafts, and I really do like the 1 premium drafts. So this is one of those Darwin, Haaland, and Jesus front lines again with Neto, Son, Bailey, and Martinelli. That's a really strong team. Sort of 8.5 again. I'm not no massive issues with that team at all. Got a fairly big at the back team here. Got Dallo. Dallo's making an appearance. I haven't seen many Dallos, so I really like that. Please share a 1 premium player draft. That will be coming on Thursday. Yes, so yes, I will. On Thursday, there'll be an entire video dedicated because I think it's a strategy that not enough people are considering. Mr. Robert Rank, a lot of members are popping up. I'm not even doing this deliberately. A lot of our members' teams are popping up. There you go. That's what you pay for. Edison, Cancelo, Robertson, Trent. Oh, that's one we've just looked at. What do I dislike about that? I don't dislike a lot, to be honest. I think you've got the £8 million mid, you've got Jesus, you've got Kane and Salah, you've got a strong back line. I guess, just again, I prefer 4 midfielders as opposed to 3. Sorry if I've missed any super chats, by the way. I don't think I have. Hello, this is a slightly different team. Perfect. We've got a 1 premium team here. So who sent this in? FPL Finn has sent in a 1 premium team. I guess it's a 1.5 premium team. So we've got Ramsdale, Trent, Robertson, Cancelo, James, Perisic. So a very expensive premium back line. Then Luis Diaz, Martinelli, Sterling, Son, and Jay. It's so nice. This is why I like the 1 premium. And if you drop Sterling to Mount, all of a sudden you've got 2 million and you can upgrade Martinelli to an £8 million mid. So again, I'm going to be doing a 1 premium draft on Thursday. It will look something similar to this, but there are a couple of changes I would personally make. But look what you can do. If you do drop Salah to Sterling, or Salah to Son, and then like a Haaland to Sterling, by dropping your premiums down, you can do a lot. It's a really strong team. I really like that. Think I'm going for 1 premium and 4 £8 million mids. I tell you what, Andy, that is the draft that I'm going to show you on Thursday. It has that, right? Well, I think 1 premium and 4 £8 million mids could be super strong. The £8 million mids just offers such good value. So, yeah, I really like that. FPL Finn, very creative, as Mike has said there. I like it a lot. I'm going to skip. I'm really sorry if I'm skipping your draft. I'm going to try and look for some slightly different ones with some different talking points. Right, what about this? Number 1, whoever's app this is, you need to update your app. You've got kits from about 4 seasons ago in there. Update your apps so you get the new kits. I think you've genuinely got kits from not even last season, the season before. But I like Trippier and I like Perisic. There's picks in there. I think that's nice. And what I like about this team is you've just gone for triple Arsenal attack and double Leicester attack, which is sort of all of your eggs in one basket, but it could be a really nice option there. Saka, Martinelli, and Jesus could be a really nice combination. The issue I suppose you've got is if Leicester fail to score and Arsenal fail to score, you're literally relying on Salah as your only attacker there. So maybe a little bit too many eggs in too few baskets, but I don't mind it. Maybe I would switch out Maddison to Mount or like Martinelli to Neto just to diversify slightly in your attack. But yeah, it's a lot of faith in Arsenal, absolutely. It's a nice team though. It's nice sort of something a bit different, I suppose. Give it a little like. I'm on an Arsenal triple, why not? I'm on an Arsenal triple up as well. You'll see again in tomorrow's team selection video out at 9 AM. I do have triple Arsenal, but I don't have triple Arsenal attack. I like this. There's a lot of different teams. Do you know what? I'm a big fan of this. I'm glad that we're getting a few different. It's very boring for you guys to watch and boring for me to do to just sit through and see exactly the same team every time. Sanchez in goal. I don't see Sanchez too often on Twitter at least, but he is actually, I think he's more highly owned than Raya and Melia, but I don't see him a lot on Twitter. This is a 2.5 premium draft. I like the 2.5 premiums. We've got Salah and De Bruyne as the 2 premiums, and then we've got Vardy as sort of the 0.5 premium in there. Martinelli, Bailey, Jesus, and Bamford, who I genuinely think is an excellent differential. I really like that team. What do you think of this team, chat? Andy, if you're still watching this, talk to me about Andy Martin. Talk to me about Aronson, Rodrigo. He's in the chat. Talk to me about the Leeds boys. What do we think of starting with Bamford? Or starting with Aronson? Or starting with Rodrigo? What do you think of the Leeds boys? So just with respect to this team, I love it. I guess my only issue with it is you've got no City coverage. right? I don't mind dropping James. I don't think you need to have James in your team. I don't think you need to have even 2 City defenders. But I would wonder, can you do Trippier to Walker, or can you do Perisic to? Can you find Perisic to Diaz, or even Perisic to Walker? I wonder if you can just try and get a City defender in there. I just think that you're going to miss out on a lot of clean sheets if you completely disregard the City defense. Outside of that, though, I think it's a really strong team. I really genuinely really like that front three. Jesus, Vardy, and Bamford. That looks like that has potentially lots of goals in it. Ross, check mine out. I've got 3 premiums and tons of differentials. Hopefully I'll get to it. I can't, unfortunately, just select certain teams, but I may well get onto that. Anyway, really like that. Who sent that in? Give me Cormac. Good draft. I'm going to give that an 8.5 out of 10. I've got Rodrigo in the draft I've sent you. Yeah, Rodrigo, I really like the idea of Rodrigo or Aronson. I think both of those Leeds boys could do really well. Fixtures are actually really nice for Leeds. Let's have a look at the fixtures for Leeds. So on the Fantasy Football Hub ticker, if I go through via attack, where do Leeds rank? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They're the ninth. So they're the ninth best fixtures from game week 1 to 6. How about if we shorten it to game week 1 to 5? It's about the same. Okay. If we go from game week 1 to 9, they're actually third. So it depends when you're wildcarding, right? If you're wildcarding a bit later and you're happy holding a Leeds player all that time, look, they've got really good fixtures. Wolves, Southampton, Chelsea's not great, but Brighton, Everton, Brentford, Nottingham Forest, United, Villa, they've got really, really strong fixtures, Leeds, and I think they could definitely improve. So it's something to consider for sure. And I really like all of the Leeds options, to be honest. What am I doing? That. It's an different pick. Zaha. I haven't seen Zaha. Zaha's been on fire in pre-season, by the way. How many returns has he got? Something like 8 or 9 attacking returns he's got in pre-season. Could be really, really nice option in there, Zaha. Just the fixtures are very tricky for Palace. I do wonder if you can start the season with Barnes or Grealish or even Coutinho and then move to Zaha. But listen, he's probably going to be on penalties and he could be a really nice option. So Andy, regarding the Leeds asset, has said, my standout pick is still Aronson. Game week fine is fine for Rodrigo, but that's because James is suspended and Sinistera is 50-50. Come game week 2, I'd be worried about Rodrigo's minutes. Bamford's still not 100% in my opinion. There you go. Thank you very much for that. That's actually really, really insightful stuff. So, Aronson, which is annoying because Aronson's the one I want. So all you've done there is make me want Aronson even more. I just think Neto's fixtures are slightly better over the first 2. I do wonder if you can start with Neto and then move to Aronson. It feels like a bit of a safe pick, safe thing to do, but yeah, we'll see. You skipped my team right there. No, I'm so sorry. I'm going to end up skipping. I'm just looking. If I skipped your team, it probably just meant it looks very good. It probably just means it looks very good. Zaha might have a blinder of a year since he's on the last year of his contract, and his next one will be the last. Yeah, potentially. Could be a good option. But yeah, nice pick it with Aaron Zaha. We've got someone using the Fantasy Football Hub algorithm, the new My Team feature. They've got 96%, which is pretty good. 67 predicted points, which is strong. Haaland, Kane, Jesus, Neto, Martinelli, Salah, Walker, White, Perisic, Trent, and Raya with Bailey on the bench. It's very strong draft. Not a lot to talk about there. Like I said, as far as freemiums go, this sort of setup's about probably as good as you can get. If you are watching this, by the way, and you're not yet subscribed, we're trying to hit 20,000 subscribers before the start of the season. It's completely free for you to do. It's going to take 2 seconds. You just scroll up, hit the red button, scroll back, and carry on watching. I do really appreciate it. So if you are watching this and you're not yet a subscriber, please do consider doing so. And also drop a like. Why not? Why not drop a like? Oh, speak of the devil, there he is. So, who in the chat follows Mr. Andy Martin on Twitter? Or who's blocked Andy Martin? Who's muted Andy Martin on Twitter? Listen, so Andy had a cracking season last year. He's a big fan of the no Salah drafts. And it worked out very well for him last season. Obviously, he's been big on the no Salah in pre-season as well. And it's hard to... When you look at this draft, it looks fantastic. Obviously, the big gaping hole is Salah, but you can get good value elsewhere, right? So we've got Sanchez in goal. Interesting, again, we haven't seen a lot of Sanchez, at least on Twitter anyway. I think it looks like Melier and Raya are the 2 favourite 4.5s. Blocked his entire family. Robertson, Trent, Cancelo, Luis Diaz. So the triple up is Robertson, Trent, and Luis Diaz. Then Martinelli, Mount, Saka, and Kulusevski. So 3 £8 million mids. And then Kane and Wilson, and captaining Kane in game week 1. So this is the one premium draft with 4 £8 million mids with Luis Diaz. So this is the draft Andy was talking about here. I suppose my only issue with this draft, right, is the lack of Gabriel Jesus. So if this was my draft and I were going for a no Salah draft and I were going for a 1 premium draft, the only thing that I would do with this is I would switch out one of the 4 £8 million mids. So one of those would leave and I would switch those to Sancho and then I would switch Wilson to Jesus. So potentially what I would do is out of those mids, I would maybe drop Kulusevski to Sancho and I would do Wilson to Jesus. Right? So if this is my team, that's what I would do. And I know you might not like Sancho, and I know you're quite a big fan of Wilson, but I just think Jesus is going to do very well. You still get 3 £8 million mids, and then you get Jesus as well. Feel like Aronson could be like Ben Rama from last season. I think so too. I think he could be a really nice option. Raptor, is your book on Amazon? Yes, my book is on Amazon. Just type in the Mind Game FPL, or if you go onto my Twitter, the link will be in my bio if you click on my link tree. But yeah, just type in the Mind Game FPL. If you don't type in FPL at the end, it will just come up with random stuff. So the Mind Game FPL. Is Sancho's fitness guaranteed? As far as I know, he's unwell. If he's just unwell, assuming it's not sort of long COVID or anything, he should be fine for game week 1. If he's fit, he plays for sure. Really nice team, Andy. We've got FPL Corrigan. Wowza, that's a different... I'm not sure if this is just a different team or a troll team. Either way, I actually quite like some of these picks. Like, Ronaldo isn't going to play, I doubt, anyway. But Vardy I like. Smith Rowe I like. Coutinho's decent. De Bruyne is good. It looks a bit like an auto-pick team, but still decent. My new freemium from FPL Diz. I can't quite see. I assume that's... So it's Kane, Son, and Salah. Strong back line. You're covering the City defence with Walker. I've got no major issues with that. I think that's a nice draft. For sure. FPL Arrows, Mr. Gaz in the chat says Edison, Trent, Trippier, James Cancelo. Very strong back line. Love the Trippier pick as well. Definitely considering there myself. Neto, Diaz, Salah, Martinelli, Jesus and Kane. It's just really good. It's really strong, right? That's very similar to my team, to be honest. We've got someone using the Fantasy Football Hub algorithm again. By the way, all of these people are not using the paid for version. Feel free to use it. It will just allow you to unlock future game weeks as well, which allows you to sort of plan ahead a little bit more. Sancho, I like the pick of Sancho. Trippier in there, Bailey. It's a very similar sort of team, but Sancho, it's the first time I've seen Sancho actually, so I'm a big fan of that. No Salah drafts look good until you realise there's no Salah. That is genuinely the truest thing I've ever heard. I always look at no Salah drafts and go, oh, they've got Son, they've got Kane, they've got Diaz and Robertson and Trent. And then I think, yeah, but you've not got Salah. So I agree. That's the best way that I've heard someone explain that, to be honest. Caleb, welcome to Rap Tier 2. Thank you for becoming a member. We've actually had 9 people become members, by the way. If you want to know how to do it, there's links above. You can become a patron or a member. I massively appreciate anyone that does want to support. Are you checking from new to old? No, I think it's just random. I can refresh it if you want. Let me refresh it. Just for the people that have just joined. Here's the thing. Oh, the bots are back. The bots are back. I don't want to join your Tinder website. I know that I know that the girl's right first. Let me remove. Thanks, Frosty. Thank you very much. That's the link for the tweet. Where did you come last year in FPL? I won FPL. My name's Jamie Piggott, and I came 35k in FPL. Donated earlier, Owen Windsor, geez. I'm going to struggle to find your team. DM it to me. If you super chat your team, if you've sent me money, then just DM me your team and I'll get around to it. We're being raided, lads. We are being raided by the bots. Wait, there is a Patreon. There is a Patreon, yeah. It's the same as the YouTube memberships. It's just some people prefer Patreon to YouTube memberships. I'll do DMs after the stream. I'm not going to go through my DMs now, but... He's a taken man bot, relax. I mean, I'm not a taken man, I'm a single man, but I'm still not sure about the bots. Raptor doesn't want babes, he only wants... Raptor doesn't want babes, he only wants hauls. I would much rather win FPL than have a babe. That's how much of a nerd I am. That is how much of a nerd I am. I would much rather win FPL. Right, I've refreshed it. Hopefully we get some different ones come through here. It's going to be all the same ones again. Because of the way that I've got Twitter set up, let me just scroll. I'm just going to scroll down to a random point and just stop there. Wait, I saw Frosty's team. This was your wife's team, right, Frosty? He won FPL. Wow, and he's single. Yeah, listen, for all of the guys out there, all the girls that are looking to attract people, don't put your FPL ID in your Twitter, in your Tinder bio. I don't think that will allow you to attract many people. What you want to say is where you finished in the world. Like, if you put top 0.5% finish, I don't understand that a girl wouldn't want to be with you. Like, I feel like you'll have them falling over you. So that's my advice. My advice is don't put your FPL ID. Instead, put your FPL rank. That's what will get all the ladies. Right, this is your wife's team. Yeah, she's playing like Nana Raptor did last year. Sorry, I don't do any picks for her. Just give her some basic advice. Yeah, that's pretty much what I do with Nana Raptor as well. Mendy, Trent, Diaz, James, bloody hell, it's a good team. That's a very good team. Salah, Son, Martinelli, Bailey, Darwin, and Jesus. Wow, I love that. I really, really like that. I wonder what percentage did that get on the Fantasy Football Hub algorithm. Darwin and Jesus is really, really strong. Son and Salah as well. Very nice. You're sounding like an OnlyFans creator now. Am I? I apologize. We got sidetracked. We got sidetracked. My Tinder profile says I will triple captain you this weekend. Love it. I'm sure you've got lots of ladies with that. With the bald head and the epic beard, it's surprising you're single. Thank you very much. I polish my bald head every day as well, so I don't understand why I'm single either. Owen Windsor, I messaged you on Twitter, bro. Okay, Owen. I'm going to do that after the stream. I'm not going to go through my DMs now, but I'll reply because I know you did a super chat. I'll reply to your DM. That Paddy ad hit close home. 93% team, 87% game week 1. Your team's 99%. Jesus, that's very good. Do you think Saka is overpriced considering Ødegaard and Martinelli are equally as good? No, I think Martinelli's good value and I think Saka's good value. I think they're good value for different reasons, but I think Saka at 8 million is good value. I think Martinelli at 6 million is equally good value as well. Really nice team, Frosty. I think your wife has absolutely smashed it there. Nice team. If I'm scrolling past your team, it means it's a nice team. I'm just looking for some slightly different picks to discuss. First draft I've seen with Maddison. I suppose the only issue with Maddison at the moment is that there's potential that he could move to Newcastle. Newcastle have submitted a bid. It was rejected, but I would worry that maybe his head's not quite there. And if he does move to Newcastle, it's unlikely to be before game week 1. So it might be a situation where he misses a few, potentially misses a few games or at least one game. So I think until that's cleared up, I would maybe avoid Maddison. But if it is cleared up soon, I really do like him as an option. Frosty says if he moves to Newcastle, I want him even more. I agree. If he does move to Newcastle, I do want him even more. But we just don't know. That won't go through very quickly. It will still take a few days as a bare minimum. How do you think United will do this season, Ross? Good question. I think we'll fight for top 4, but I think we'll probably just miss out, is my genuine opinion on it. So I'd say 5th. I think it'll be tight for 4th. I think top 3 will probably comfortably be City, Liverpool, and Spurs. I think Arsenal will probably creep into 4th. Chelsea 5th, genuinely. At the moment, I don't think Chelsea are quite at where Liverpool and Arsenal are. So maybe battling with sort of Chelsea, Arsenal for 4th. It's going to be difficult to predict, though. I do think Tottenham look like they're probably closest to City and Liverpool at the moment. What do you guys think? Predict the top 4. There we go. Something for the chat to do. Predict the top 4 for me. Actually, predict the top 6. I'm going to go for 1, Man City. Oh, oh God, I didn't mean to do it like that. Ignore that comment. Ignore that comment. Remove comment. How do I do... I don't know. I'll go for first. I'm going to go first City. I think City will win the league. I think second Liverpool. Third Spurs. Fourth, I'm going to say Arsenal. Fifth Chelsea. Sixth United. God, I don't really sound like much like a Man United fan, do I? Maybe United can creep into fifth or fourth, but yeah, I'll go for that as a top six. City, Liverpool, Spurs, Arsenal, Chelsea, United. I know a lot of Chelsea fans are going to be very upset with that. It's not that I think Chelsea are bad. I just think that Spurs and Arsenal are looking very good. Yeah, I did shift enter and it just entered it anyway. Anyway, it's fine. Yeah, most people have got City, Liverpool, Spurs. A lot of people have City, Liverpool, Spurs as the first three. A lot of people got Chelsea in fourth. Yeah, I don't mind that. Someone got Chelsea. A few got Chelsea in sixth. I don't think Chelsea are necessarily that bad, but all right. I've seen a lot of these teams. It's showing me the same teams. Let me scroll down again. I'm not going to look, so I'm not being biased. I'm just going to keep scrolling. Right, let's just start here. Yeah, good team. Nothing major to say there. Top six is respectable with the team we've got. I think we should be fighting for top four. Do you know what I would love more than anything? If we can't get top four, we need to try and win the Europa League. That would be, again, we'd still get Champions League football that way. So I think you haven't passed my team once. I know, Jack, there's so many bloody people have commented. This is the issue when your channel grows a little bit. We get a lot of people commenting. By the way, I've seen a team hit 100%. I actually built a team that hit 100% earlier. Yeah. So, yeah, you can hit 100% for sure. Ruben Neves. That's the first time I've seen Ruben Neves. He is probably on penalties for Wolves, so could be decent. Almiron. Don't mind Almiron. I assume Greenwood's not meant to be in the starting 11. Don't mind Almiron as a punt. It is very punty, though. His underlying data has not been good in previous seasons at all. My team is 100% if I switch Trippier to Walker. I just don't fancy Walker myself. I agree, Frosty. Again, if you watch the video tomorrow, I'll sort of give my opinion on the £5 million mids in a little bit more detail. But I agree. Don't switch it just to make the rating better. Obviously, it's meant to be used as an addition. So this is a really nice team. I like that a lot. Two £8 million mids, Mount and Foden. I think both of them maybe going slightly under the radar there. Oh, three, Kulusevski in there too. So this is another one premium draft. So Kane is the only premium. You've got four £8 million players in there, Mount, Foden, Kulusevski, and Jesus. Really nice. De Bruyne, Kane, and Salah. Nice premium draft there. Very, very strong. If you're looking for a premium draft, I don't mind that at all. Could be really nice. That is incredibly well worded. Use it to augment your decision-making, not to replace your decision-making. Couldn't have said it better myself. Couldn't have said it better myself. Again, I'm very sorry if I'm scrolling past your draft. It means it's good. If it wasn't good, I would stop and roast you. This is a decent sort of draft. First time I'm seeing Van Dijk in there. Another premium draft, this time Salah, Kane, and Haaland. Van Dijk could be a really nice pick. Van Dijk always gets very close to Robertson and Trent in points, but we never pick him. He's not as exciting of a pick. But if you save that 0.5, could be a really decent pick, Van Dijk. That's nice for a threemium. Yeah, it was a nice threemium, I agree. This is Ian's team. We've got a really decent back line. Got Ward in goal rather than Sanchez. Walker on the bench. Interesting. I'd get Walker into the starting 11 somehow. Although I guess game week 1, you don't necessarily need to. Martinelli. Barnes is a pick I really like. Not a lot of people going for Barnes. Salah, Mount, Neto, Jesus, and Kane. I don't have a massive issue with any of that. I think that's a really strong team. Maybe feels like you should have a third Liverpool spot in there. Maybe ahead of Mount, I would have Diaz. But outside of that, it's really nice. May as well go Matip if you're going Van Dijk, right? So Matip actually has better underlying data than Van Dijk. But my issue with Matip is you've got the potential rotation with Konate. So I think I would still go Van Dijk just for safety of starts. Really like some of those midfield picks. Aronson and Maddison, I think both could be really excellent in there for sure. Can't shake off this threemium feeling. Again, really nice. I don't dislike the 3 millions. I definitely like them more than I did at the start of preseason, just because we've had a few cheap options emerge. The likes of Bailey, Almiron, Neto, Aronson. You've got some cheaper defenders in there that could be options. The likes of Diogo Dalot, Saliba. So I think with the amount of cheap options we've got, I don't mind a 3 million as much. I really didn't like it at the start, but I think it could be decent. Ake is a very interesting one. I guess he should start the season. I'm not a massive fan. I'd probably prefer, apologies, I'd probably prefer Walker to Ake. Thoughts on Welbeck? He's in one of the 100% drafts. Yeah, I saw that on, was it FPL, mate? Was Dan talking about that on his channel? Yeah, I think I saw Welbeck in there. Welbeck's an interesting one, right? I don't see the appeal with that. Is Grealish off your radar after the Community Shield performance? Not particularly. I wouldn't stress too much there, but he didn't look fantastic. He sort of went missing a little bit. And Foden and Alvarez both looked really good. So, yeah. I think could be a really decent option. Another one with Wilson, 2.5 million in the bank as well. I don't mind these sort of drafts where you start with quite a bit in the bank. Start with, like, rather than maybe a Grealish, you go for a Bailey. Gives you 2 million in the bank, and then you've got 2 million to play with. I am a big fan of leaving some money in the bank if you can, for sure. Matip is not even first choice, and he doesn't have Van Dijk's goal threat. With respect to goal threat, he does. He had better underlying data last season. His expected goal involvement was better than Van Dijk's. With respect to not being first choice, that's a debate that's to be had with Liverpool fans generally. A lot of people think Matip will start. Some people think Konate will start. Has anyone considered De Gea as the £5 million keeper? I prefer Ramsdale myself, but yeah, I don't mind De Gea. I just think I would rather go Ramsdale and Dalot, whereas you can't go for De Gea and a 4 point. I think the De Gea and like Saliba or De Gea and White isn't as good as the Ramsdale and Dalot. After watching your review of my team, the fact that you liked it flagged it to me that I need to change it. Absolutely outrageous, Mark. That is absolutely outrageous. Outrageous disrespect. Get out of the stream. By the way, I'm friends with the person there. I'm not actually being rude to the audience. I'm not telling random people to get out of the stream. This is a bit of a... This is what we call the sort of hourglass figure. Hourglass draft. We've got massive at the back, plus Diogo Dalot, Salah and Neto, Martial, Jesus and Kane, and Martinelli on the bench. I guess once Martinelli gets into the team, it's a little bit less sort of weak in midfield. I really like that. Really like that draft. Very nice. We are getting to the stage where we're seeing a lot of the same players. I'm not sure about Ake again. I like Luka Dean. I like Harvey Barnes. And I like Darwin, Jesus, and Kane as a front line. That is a very nice team. Again, I'm not, like I said, I'm not entirely sure that Ake is a sustainable long-term option, though. Love it. Aronson. I enjoy seeing Aronson in teams. I think Aronson could be a really super option, for sure. What do we think about Mahrez? Mahrez has been... someone that everyone loved at the start of pre-season. Everyone's gone off Mahrez a little bit. What do we think of Mahrez? Are we still keen? Are we still thinking about him? Or are we just past mine? Must be good. What's your name on Twitter, Jack? Is that your team? Is that your team there, Jack? Let me know. So this one has Mahrez as well. Foden will 100% start. Too much rotation. Last season, world number 1 had Mahrez. Yep. Mahrez, pure greedy. Haaland will be cursing him. It's City defenders or City strikers for me. In between feels too risky when everyone else is going for solid players like Diaz, Saka, Mount. Yep. I think I agree, to be fair. I'm not as massive as I was on Mahrez, but I think you could still probably start the season with him. I think we might see the same front three that started the Community Shield. Grealish, Haaland, and Mahrez. But you could quite easily see like Grealish, Haaland, and Foden. Alvarez could even get a start. I don't mind Mahrez. I think there are better £8 million mids. Even if you've got Robertson and you can't go for Diaz, I prefer Saka. And even if you can't go for Saka, because you've got triple Arsenal already, I probably prefer Mount. And if you can't go for Mount, I probably prefer Foden and Maddison. And you could even drop to like a Sancho. I think Mahrez would be maybe my least favourite £8 million mid now. If you want to go for a high upside attacker in game week 1, maybe go for Kulusevski. Kulusevski could be the one. Right, guys. I think, let's switch back here. I think we've looked at enough different drafts there. Like I said, tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. BST, please turn on notifications, by the way. Next to the subscribe button, there'll be a little bell notification. Turn on notifications that you know when my videos do go live. Also, join the Discord server, by the way. All the how to do it is up here. Links will be in the description. Join the Discord server. I post when I do a video in there. There'll be a video going tomorrow live. It will be my Game Week 1 team selection. So I appreciate loads of support and loads of love on that. It will be my first team selection video of the season. I'm almost locked in. We're talking about maybe like 1 or 2 players I've been switching around, but I have got 0.5 million in the bank, and it's a draft that I am very, very happy with. I have made a few changes since the last time I posted my draft, so do check that out. Like I said, the big announcement for today's stream was that I have partnered with Fantasy Football Hub for the season. All of the stuff that I've used for today's video is with Fantasy Football Hub. Just such a slick website. They're improving season upon season. They've got lots more coming this season as well. So if you want to get access to all of the stats that I use in my videos, you want to get access to this My Team feature, and you want to support the channel, please do click the link in the description. It will take you there. It's like an affiliate link, so I do receive a small amount if you use that link, and I do massively appreciate that as well. I think you can sign up for as cheap as £1.50 per month at the moment, because you get 50% off in pre-season. It's the best time to sign up. You get all of the season's content, and you also get it for pretty cheap as well. So apologies for that little sales ad, but it does help to support the channel massively. Basically, let me switch to full screen, so that you can see my big bald head as I say goodbye. Thank you very much for tuning into the stream today. I do massively appreciate it. We are trying to hit 20,000 subscribers before the start of Game Week 1. So if you've not yet subscribed, please do consider doing so. If you're watching this back, still subscribe, drop a like on the video. There'll be 3 more pieces of content before Game Week 1. We're going to have another live stream on Friday, and there'll be 2 videos tomorrow and Thursday as well. So please do think about supporting the channel with the likes and subscribes, etc. Watch all the content, all of that lovely stuff. Thank you for being here today. I do massively appreciate it. Until next time, guys, thank you very much for watching. Cheers. Bye-bye.